Hey everyone, welcome back to the Smiling Homeschooler Podcast. We're glad you can join us. Before we begin, I want to say thank you to Teaching Textbooks for making this all possible. They're an amazing partner and an amazing math curriculum. And if you are thinking about the next school year a little bit and what you're going to be doing, definitely check them out over at teachingtextbooks.com. We really appreciate their support. We also want to thank Samaritan Ministries and Redeem Health Share, where members are committed to honoring Christ and serving one another through healthcare needs. As my dad Todd likes to say, we use, love, and recommend Samaritan Ministries, and you can learn more in the show notes about Redeem Health Share by Samaritan Ministries. But all right, we're going to go ahead and get started. As you can see, if you're watching the video version, we are not joined by Dad. He is currently getting over a cough, so just felt out of it. So I asked my mom, recruited her, and she said yes. So my mom, Debbie, is joining us. So say hi, Mom.
Hi.
Her apparently her speaker volume on her computer is low, so she can't hear super well. So hopefully she can hear when I ask her questions and stuff like that. But we just had a fun weekend. We had Kids Day and Father's Day in our households. Obviously Father's Day was for everyone, but Kids Day we ended up doing some fun things, doing a park, went and watched the new Toy Story movie. Watched a movie out on the deck, that kind of stuff. So it was fun. Did you, Mom, have a fun time? Kids do anything? I mean, I know you guys were at the lake on Saturday, but that's pretty much the main thing, I think.
Yep, the main thing. And donuts and, just ice cream and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, the kids always like it, and ended up being a beautiful day. So it was fun. And I ended up actually taking the day off. So, we tried to make it somewhat special without going crazy or anything like that. But I've been talking about wanting to do this topic for a little while here, just because I think it's super important, and especially with just the busyness of life and everything else. And that's just, prioritizing your spouse in the midst of, parenting and homeschooling, and just, whether it's, parents that are getting older or kids that are graduating or getting married, whatever it may be. I mean, there's just so many things going on. And obviously, having a good relationship with your spouse is very important. And Mom, you guys just celebrated, was it 36 years or what was it again? Oh, I think I lost her here for a second.
Yeah, 36.
36, yeah. So 36th anniversary, literally last week, right? I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So obviously you're qualified, I think, to talk about this. You're busy. I've been through it a lot. I've obviously been married a lot less, but, still have 4 kids and all that kind of stuff. So I guess maybe we just start at the just the core of why it is so important. I mean, I guess, what do you think some of the benefits and where having that strong relationship with your spouse and having the time dedicated to not just be a teacher or not just be a mom, how have you seen that affect, your ability to parent and homeschool and all of that through the years?
Well, I think you have 20/20 vision about it all when your youngest is about done or done. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Because it keeps saying my thing's unstable.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Because if you aren't nurturing it, huh?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're kind of cutting out. Maybe turn your video off and I'll just put a picture up
there?
of you or something.
Okay, I could switch to my phone. It has a better signal always.
I mean, do whatever you can to make it a little bit more stable. I think that's fine. Give us 1 second here.
You don't need to put a picture up. It's okay. Got my name.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, you keep freezing on my screen, so I can't tell. This is why I need a better laptop.
Okay, continue or switch to your phone.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think you need to switch to your phone. This is not working clearly.
Okay. Give me a second.
Yeah. Well, I'll go ahead and talk for a minute while your mom's switching that over. So, I mean, I I think I wanted to say, at least initially, I just, the seasons of life, I think, are so major when it comes to relationship and have been such a huge effect on us. I mean, especially, postpartum's been really, really big for us over the years. And it's just been a major, it has, major effect on our relationship. This last year, Rissa's talked a couple times about just some of the health things and hardships she's been going through. And that obviously has had a really hard, a really major effect on our relationship. As we've had more and more kids and busyness continues, all of those things play a role in just how our relationship is able to be lived out day to day, whether that's how much time we have for going out on a date, how much time we have to spend together, and recognizing that the seasons really are going to be a part of life, and that's just the fact of it, I think has been really important and something that we've seen and learned, more over time that we initially wouldn't have known, and the hard part is in the midst of it, though, it is so difficult to not get discouraged and overwhelmed. What were you going to say there, Mom? You there?
I have to join a meeting, right?
Yep.
Okay, hang on.
Sorry.
Go.
Nope, you're good.
Just gonna have to keep talking.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, so just the effects that has on us over the years, but something that's just been really, I think, is really critical is just being able to see us come back out of those hard times, and you're not just stuck in them forever, and it does get better. And I think that's been something I'm so thankful we've gotten to experience over the years. Can you turn your volume down a little bit? Hold on. All right. Okay, we're good. So that's just something that over the years has been a massive, I think, thing of learning for us, is just how much it does change from season to season. But Mom, if you want to go ahead and talk then back to what you were saying is just the effects, and maybe you can talk about that seasons, and have you recognized just seasons of hardship and seasons of, where it is easier, and just how, your relationship with Dad has changed over those years.
Well, I don't know if this is what you're asking for, but what I was going to say earlier is, you're aware of it all through, homeschooling and the seasons of parenting, but you're super aware of it once you're wrapping up, kind of, because it's a little bit daunting and scary when something you've poured your life into is about to end, for the mom, especially. And so if you've put your husband on the back burner all these years during homeschooling, and then the kids are all grown and gone, and that's all you have left, it's can be a really terrifying feeling for people, I think, that have not kept working at that relationship, because it all of a sudden becomes very glaring that there's not much of a relationship there anymore. So it's something you have to really work at then, but also kind of be working on it all the way through, so you don't get to that point of being super disconnected by the time you're done. Because it's, for me, the hardest time to stay connected has been during the teenage years, which sounds probably, maybe some people think, well, how could it be harder than the baby and toddler years? But I think it's way easier to stay connected when the kids are little. It's a lot harder when they stay up later than you, there's just so much emotional drain, and I would say a lot more discrepancies in how things should be handled and stuff. And it's easier to get really caught up in your teens' lives to where you're just kind of living separate lives, honestly, and so I think it's even more critical during those years. I think it's critical all the time, but I don't know. I'm not sure if I answered the question.
No, I mean, I think that's super true and insightful. I mean, even just the ability to have alone time, and especially that changes if your kids, I know, if your kids aren't regular to bed, or if time is a huge deal. That is such a scarce commodity in a big family. So I guess, do you feel like how critical, and I think it is probably your love language too, but just how critical time is to it all. how has that changed like for you over the seasons? I mean, have you had times where, maybe it is postpartum where it is just a lot more difficult, or, I guess has that ebbed and flowed, or, have you seen those just changes over time?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, um, yes, I think so. Uh, I didn't feel like we got a lot of date time. We
Mm-hmm.
had an older couple offer to watch our kids like once every 6 weeks for 2 hours. And that was most of the only dates we
Yeah.
had. But my husband always tried, Todd, I guess everyone knows who he is, tried to make us always get away once a year, at least, on an overnight or two. And I've met a lot of moms who don't do that. They don't want to do that, and they just feel like they can't leave their kids. But I feel like that's really important to make a priority all through the years. And I mean, even when our kids were little, even if it wasn't dates, I think always necessarily, but just by having your kids go to bed at a reasonable time allows you to have that time after they're in bed each night just to connect and talk. Um, and I just think that's really important, because eventually they can't go to bed at that time and you've got to find other ways. But, when they're little, just establish a bedtime so that you guys can still have connecting time. Um, Even if it doesn't end up always being a weekly date night or something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, I guess any tips for, you mentioned that just, kids not being your only personality, I guess, essentially, where the only thing you have a relationship with is through your kids. I mean, you see that too with people who their whole life is work, and then when they finally retire, it's just like they have no meaning anymore, because all that they knew was work. So I guess any tips for not letting that happen other than, connecting, but what does that even look like,
yeah, I mean, yeah, again, I just think you cannot let homeschooling
Mm-hmm.
become the most important thing. You cannot let your kids be the most important thing. You have to keep the marriage relationship the first priority, obviously after your relationship with God. But so many people just scoot it
Yeah.
to the side and be like, well, I don't have time to deal with that right now because this is so pressing. But really, that's the key. Um, and so I don't know, there's just some of them I've already mentioned, connecting after the kids are in
Mm-hmm.
bed, taking those,
Yep.
getting away with your spouse once a year or whatever. I would even add, I think it's important to connect when you're homeschooling, but it's hard to connect if your husband's not super on board. So, like, for what I mean by that is, I feel like his expectations were reasonable because he believed in homeschooling and understood the demand of homeschooling. And so he was more understanding of me and less demanding of what he expected from me because he was committed to homeschooling. And so, like, if you have a husband not on board with it, I feel like that's even harder because
Mm-hmm.
it's really important to get your husband on the same page so you feel like a team approaching it all. I mean, I would even say, like, get away with your husband to a homeschool convention. That sounds, I mean, I think some of the younger generation thinks, what is even that? Why do we need to go? But there is such communication and connection happens when you go away with your husband to a homeschool convention for the weekend. You listen to inspiring speakers and you can just share your heart, share and talk through things. And I mean, that is a real relationship builder. Even if a
Yeah,
husband doesn't think
totally.
that sounds great, it's really a wonderful
Yeah.
way to connect during those homeschooling years, especially.
I mean,
Um,
having a unified mission together of like, this is what we're doing is
mm,
huge. I mean, I totally agree. I mean, I think like the general principle, or for me, for us, has just been, it's so easy in the midst of it all to forget that you are not just a mom, even to your husband, or whatever, I mean, I don't know if that's just in our relationship, but like those
yeah.
hardest times. And it's not easy to just like be like, well, remember that we're married, because like you're like, well, I'm literally just surviving and treading water and trying to, parent our kids. I have no time or mental space left to just be, your wife or, your husband or whatever, and not just a parent or not just a homeschooling mom, so, but that ability to have some time to remember why you are married and not just that we are married and that it is us first and then our kids, come from that, I think is crucial though. Otherwise you do just kind of get in the monotony of we just do our thing every day. And then you kind of, I don't know. I think there have been times where you kind of plow through huge chunks of time and then you realize you've kind of lost where you were, you what?
Yeah. You've been coasting. That's what we always
totally. And I mean, that was like one of the things that early on, I always was like, what would be one thing of advice you'd say? I was always like, if you're coasting, you'll eventually stop, because like coasting does not continue forever. Like if you will slow down and you will end up, I think, not in a good spot eventually, but it's so hard. I mean, so kind of building off that then, I mean, we agree those things take effort. I mean, how do you find the energy or time, or sanity to even think about anything other than just keep my kids alive and teach them the stuff they're needing to be taught?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just priorities. I think you have to reevaluate and keep your priorities in check. Like even for me, like there's just things I do because I'm doing them for my husband, whether that's trying to find time to exercise or having my own time with God each day, because I can't be a good wife if I'm not spending time with God, in order to help me do all that. And there are seasons that are, I guess, more of a survival mode. But I think you have to, I mean, I'm sure there's relationship experts that could give, all kinds of ideas and things, but, just what you think about, is what you will work on. So you have to be thinking about your spouse. You have to be, selfless and unselfish to think about them and their day and how you can encourage them, how you can, I think it's easy to fall into, it's all about me, he's not meeting my needs, but just working to serve each other and prioritize your spouse and meet their, needs to the best that you can. And it's not going to look pretty sometimes, and there's going to be seasons of dryness, and that's normal. But I think you can't let it stay there always. You have to keep trying, and keep pursuing, and, just doing the things that would really speak to them. Like Dad, he always wanted to go away, and I was resistant. I didn't like leaving everyone. It was really hard for me to do that. But like, a couple times I planned a trip and surprised him. And I mean, that just meant so much to him because he just craved that time with me. And I'm not tooting my horn because I failed most of the time, but a few times I did what I should have. But I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's huge. I think you said like keep pursuing. I think that is very, very true, but it is just hard. I mean, I get it, especially if you are tired, it's hard to even think about how do I have the energy to pursue, but and we'll get into, actually we'll get more into that in just a second. I do want to talk more about that, but before we do, I do want to say thank you to Teaching Textbooks and all their support of what we do. They help homeschoolers smile. They helped our family smile more. I used them. My siblings have used them. My daughter uses them, and we just love what they do, and we do really believe in their curriculum. So go check them out. We would talk about them even if they weren't a sponsor. So go support them. And also thank you to Samaritan Ministries and Redeem Health Share, where members are committed to honoring Christ and serving one another through healthcare needs. As Dad likes to say, we use, love, and recommend Samaritan Ministries. And you can learn more in the show notes about Redeem Health Share by Samaritan Ministries. And we've been with them. I mean, Mom and Dad, you've been with them for well over a decade, right?
Oh yeah, probably 20 some years.
Yeah,
I don't.
so
I'm sure.
definitely, again,
Yeah.
another company that we really believe in and have worked with for a long time, even outside of this sponsorship. So appreciate their support. Um,
Mhm.
but what I was going to say is, I mean, you didn't really do this as much. It's been hugely beneficial for us is having people around us.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, sometimes when you just feel so discouraged and tired and everything else, I mean, having some other people around you can, yeah, help with kids. I mean, again, for us, thank God. I mean, we have parents right next door and in-laws, and Marissa's parents are close by. So I really like, my heart really does go out to anyone who doesn't have anyone who can watch any kids or feels like they don't have anyone that can watch kids. I would say, I think that our, as a society and culture, like we have become less trusting of people than we probably
Yeah.
can be. I think it's okay to have the girl at, the someone from your church watch your kids, even if you don't know them super well. I do think that I think, again, we haven't had to be in that position, but I know lots of people do, and it's well worth it. And having some of that community, I think, can be really valuable if you're just feeling like you're just stuck and you can't do it on your own right now. Like if you're just, if it, yeah, if the pursuing is not happening at all, if you're not, having any energy to do any of it, then you may have to do something there. I don't think it would be a bad thing to at least reach out, and even if you needed help from, maybe a pastor or talk to another couple who's been married for a while or something like that. I don't think that's a terrible thing to do.
Yeah. And I would encourage the moms listening that are maybe nearing the end of their homeschool journeys to be on the lookout for those young families.
Mm-hmm.
And and a challenge to us that how you can minister to a younger family by saying, hey, you know, once a month or whatever, however often you feel like you can, we'll have your kids over for the evening so you guys can go out. Or like you guys have siblings nearby. So, I would hope
Mm-hmm.
that if we weren't
Totally.
around, your friends you could take a friends with close friends to
Yeah.
turn where one week you watch theirs and the next week they watch yours, or siblings could do that for each other. We didn't have anyone near us, so literally this older couple from our church just said, we can't really do anything to help you monetarily when Todd was a pastor, but she was like, but we'd love to watch your kids. And I mean, it was literally only 2 hours, but we loved it, and it was such a gift to us. And I just feel like we could be doing that
Yeah.
for each other more, especially for the ones who
That
don't
is,
have a lot
yeah.
of.
This is a side tangent. If someday when we are old, and I do,
Yeah.
and you won't ever have it, you'll have too many grandkids. But for if we don't, that is just such a huge thing that I don't think I ever realized, as a kid, like how unique and special that was. I mean, they
Yeah.
impacted our lives in amazing ways, and we impacted their lives, I think, in a special way. But I mean, they took. I don't know if did they ever have all eight? I assume they all eight. I mean, so they had, two old people in their 70s or whatever, 80s, watching eight kids, who weren't their own grandkids. I mean, that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And we didn't abuse it on it. We
yeah,
kept it
yeah,
as
yeah.
short as we could, but it was still a real gift to us. And, so I just, as
Yeah.
people's kids are getting older, that's a real gift you could give
Yeah.
someone
But I do
that's
also,
younger.
I mean, you kind of mentioned it early on, but I, I mean, having that relationship strong with your spouse, I mean, it impacts your whole family in so many ways, not just your relationship, but I mean, we see that as, when Rissa is, like right now where she's feeling a lot stronger across the board and feeling a lot better mentally. And, we're able to then reconnect, we were able to go on our getaway for our anniversary, that kind of stuff. I mean, it affects our kids, it affects our patience, it affects, our ability to be more understanding to, I mean, just across the board. I think your ability to be an effective parent really does, I think, flow from, I mean, where you're at with the Lord and then also where you're at with your spouse. But I mean, have you seen that and would you agree with that?
Oh, I used to always say when Todd and I aren't right, nothing feels right.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just throws off everything else. And I would add, if you have been in a long season of feeling that way, I would encourage you to get some help. Either talk to a pastor or
Yeah.
talk to a counselor and see, why there's walls up and why you don't feel like you can be close to your husband or whatever, or that's not, if you don't feel like it's a priority on one side or the other. don't just let it go and be coexisting for years and years and years. Do something to ruffle it up and have the hard discussions and be willing to go there and work for it, because it doesn't come easy. It takes constant work, and
Yeah.
I can remember in my naivety thinking it's got to be so much easier once you've been married like 25 years, because you just know them so well that things don't bug you like they do at the beginning when you're first realizing them or whatever. And I was just so wrong. It literally, I feel like, gets harder almost every year. Sorry, Ben. No. Maybe not harder, but it just it I think for some people maybe it does, but we haven't hit that point yet.
Yeah.
um, but
Yeah.
it just takes work. I think that's the key. It takes constant work and constant prioritizing and not letting it grow cold and stale and you know
Yeah.
seasons. So
I mean, I think about it a lot with kids. I mean, I'm just that kind of person, but just how we do, I was looking at pictures today of even just a couple years ago and how much different, Hudson looks and how much different Anders looks, and Renly, and just their voices are changing and everything. But that's also true with, your wife. Like, I mean, you or your spouse or your husband, like you do only get one chance to, be 30 and then be 40 and then be 50, and then you are 85 and then it's not, then your worries are a lot more are different, so
yeah,
I don't want to just coast through or grit my teeth and get through every day for that whole time. So I do think there's so much at stake, and I think our kids benefit so hugely from us being unified and connected, and I hope that we're in it together, even though again there are seasons where it is just hard, and it doesn't feel very fun and doesn't feel very like you're putting in pouring anything in terms of energy into each other, but I think if it's a season and not all the time for our year, decades, and then I think that's a different deal.
Yeah, but even like you've had your marriage group that meets
totally.
once a week for years, and you guys are pouring.
Yeah,
that's a pouring into it. I assume. I mean, you've been pretty
100%.
devoted, marriage focused, and that's huge. I mean, that's lots of people don't have that, and that's a real.
I mean,
good.
honestly, that's again where I don't know how like you would go through some of the things that, and I'm not saying we've got it harder than other people. I don't think that's the case, but just mean like it felt hard for us, and we had amazing friends meeting with us every week who were encouraging us and praying for us, and we had amazing family supporting us. So again, I do think that isolation does add an extra layer, of you got to figure it out on your own, I guess, and that's tough, but I think it's possible.
Yeah.
Were you going to say something there?
No.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I guess just any last advice you would give to the mom who does just feel frazzled and, just run down, but does want, to love her husband well and, have that strong relationship with them. What would you leave them with tonight?
Just find a way. Like, don't just, if homeschooling daily is taking so much out of you that you have nothing left for your husband, then you've got to make a change in your homeschooling. I'm not saying don't homeschool. I'm saying adjust it so that you don't feel that way at the end of every day. Like, I mean, and I'm not like, lots of us around us, we aren't super intense, but there's a lot of super intense homeschool moms where, I mean, it is so militant and heavy on their minds and hearts that that's all they can think about, and I would just say that is not the most important thing. It just isn't. So if you're making it the most important thing, then you have your priorities out of whack. Your marriage has to be above homeschooling, period. So I would just say that. So make adjustments if needed. If your kids are out of control and just whatever to make it so that you can't even have a conversation with your husband, then work on those things for a while so that that can happen. I know, I remember listening to a speaker years ago that talked about we didn't really implement it, but I liked the idea. It was called like couch time, so that as soon as the dad came home from work, they had trained their kids to give them couch time where they were going to sit and talk without interruption for, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And the kids just learn to respect that or whatever. And I know that sounds silly, but just find ways to keep the communications open, find ways to show your husband that he is still a priority, and that it's not all about the kids all the time. And yeah, I haven't done that very well a lot of times, but I do know that is the most important.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do think if you can, and I get this is, a lot of effort and your husband may not be super into it, but maybe even if you could go through something, if you feel like you just can't communicate through some of those things, like for us, love and respect was super, super foundational for us, or like the 5 love languages. Because a lot of times it is just, you're not communicating or loving in the way that the other person really thrives off of. And I do think it's really easy to just kind of, especially when you're tired, to just do things in the way you would want to do it, not in the way that they need it. And this is coming easy from a guy, but genuinely, if you go up, give your husband, you initiate a hug, or you initiate a kiss, or you initiate a compliment or something like that. I mean, you can literally make your husband's day for maybe weeks, just little things like that go so far. And I think that, feeling like you both, and I think love and respect so powerful, and it really illustrates the whole crazy cycle. Like it's so hard if your air hose, is how he illustrates it, is being cut off, then you can't easily love your spouse in the way that they want, and then it just goes in the cycle and around and around and around. But the hard part is someone has to initiate it, and someone has to stop that and say, you know what, my husband isn't doing a great job at loving me either as well. Or maybe it's, maybe your husband is doing a great job, but you're not, whatever it may be, or vice versa. But someone has to, unfortunately, say, you know what, even if I'm not getting exactly what I'd like right now either, I'm still going to take a few small steps and try to start pouring back into my spouse. And then, but then that leads to them wanting to, start loving you in a way that is beneficial for you. And again, that's not the goal. It's not I do this just to get something better for myself, but that's just how I do find that to be true. I didn't do a great job explaining it, but
and we kind of think, oh, well, it would take so much time, or it takes, I don't have that kind of time. It's really not. It's just in little tiny things and ways. It's not a huge, doesn't have to be huge. It's appreciating him, appreciating each other. It's thanking each other. It's, like you said, complimenting them on something, or encouraging them in some way, or smiling at them. That's what my husband always says.
Yeah, seriously.
Just smiling.
Yep. No.
The Smiling Homeschooler. I mean, I just would say too, if you need some help in this area, Todd wrote a book many years ago, and it's called How to Be a Great Wife Even Though You Homeschool. And then we kind of have the dad's counterpart, Help, I'm Married to Homeschooling Mom. And both of those are super encouraging to each spouse separately of how to do that in the midst of homeschooling. Because it is another layer of stuff, on the relationship. If you haven't checked out those that he wrote, they're on our website, and they'd be a great read.
All right. Well, for every mom out there who is tired and, has a lot going on, we hope that you are able to continue to connect with your spouse, because I do think it will benefit your whole family. But thanks for joining us. As always, we really appreciate everyone being here. If you want to check out those books, you can do that over at thesmilinghomeschooler.com. Again, thank you to Teaching Textbooks for supporting what we do. They're an amazing partner. Go support them at teachingtextbooks.com. And thank you to Samaritan Ministries and Redeem Health Share, where members are committed to honoring Christ and serving one another through healthcare needs. As Ed likes to say, we use, love, and recommend Samaritan Ministries, and you can learn more in the show notes about Redeem Health Share by Samaritan Ministries. But everyone have a great week. Don't forget to smile, and we'll see you next week.